Greetings and welcome to sonikLIVE. So I wanted to get a quick timely video out about a free software synth from the great folks over at Cherry Audio. They have this promotion going on. It's been going on since Black Friday, and they have a holiday gift to their customers that I believe ends around the first week of January. So I want to spread the word and help you guys get a free Christmas gift that is really superb and deserves exploring. The synth is the Surrealistic MG-1, which you were just listening to. So let's take a quick look. If you go over to the Cherry Audio website, cherryaudio.com, and if you look in the product section, you will find the Surrealistic MG-1, and read all about it, listen to some sound demos. Most importantly, sign up for an account just for the price of your email, and then you can get this awesome synth for nothing. Okay, so the MG-1, it's a fairly basic, fairly straightforward subtractive synth. 2 oscillators. It's got 5 actual sound sources. It's got an envelope and a filter and some modulation. It was it's a virtual analog model of a synth that was sold by Radio Shack in the 80s called the Realistic MG-1. So Surrealistic MG-1, it's a little play on words there. But that original Radio Shack synth was licensed technology from Moog. So it has a really great Moogy sound, and the filter is really, really juicy. So I think Cherry Audio have been really killing it lately, and this is no exception for the price. It's really amazing synth, so highly recommend checking it out. Let's take a little look at some of the presets. You can get an idea of what it can do. So real quick, I've got my basic vanilla Beatstep controlling the synth. I have a quick little basic sequence on there. In fact, let's recall that one. It's a pretty basic little sequence, but I also have on the controller section, I have 2 octaves of the A minor scale set up, so we can play in control mode or in sequence mode or both, as you'll see later. So let's take a little look, like I said, at some of the presets that come installed, and just to get an idea of what it can do. So here under the all presets, you can see there's quite a few to get you started, and they're broken down by categories here. You can of course save your own presets, and you can put them in the user presets collection, and you can break them down by sort of category too. So nothing out of the ordinary there. So let's just take a listen to some of the bass sounds. So, some of the bass sounds, let's see what it can do in the ways of, let's take a listen to some of the leads. Let's take a little listen to some of the, let's see, we've got some organ sounds. Okay, as well as that you've got, you know, percussion sounds. So you could conceivably create an entire track, an entire song, just with this one very simple instrument. We also have a poly section, which, like it suggests, is fully polyphonic, and we'll get more into detail in that as we take a little look through the different sections. But if we just play our simple monophonic sequence, so not only do you get a really great sounding mono synth in the Moog stylings, you get a pretty cool polyphonic synth kind of tucked away there secretly inside of it. Let's take a look, listen to some more. Anyway, you get the idea. Lots and lots of versatility, lots and lots of sounds come preset, and it's also fun to either start from scratch, build your own sounds, or use one of the presets as a starting point, which is often the case. And let's find a let's see, a basic. They don't really have like a reset, but let's find a let's just start with, actually there was one that was the 80s lead synth. That's always a good place to start, I think. So let's take a little look at the various sections. As you can see, they're color coded, which makes it really easy to keep track of what's going on and where. So let's start, we'll go kind of counterintuitively, we're going to go right to left, because we'll start with the mixer. So we have in this mixer section here 5 sliders, and there are really 5 sound sources. We have what they refer to as tone source 1, tone source 2 in here in pink, and you can see the pink sliders are color coded, so we know that these refer and relate to the oscillators. Tone source 1, tone source 2, oscillator 1, oscillator 2. So we also have a let's take a quick listen to we have oscillator 2, and we have a noise. So fairly smooth noise. Sounds like very, very white noise. We have a bell tone. Which you don't have any control of the sound settings of that. It's just really to add some extra harmonics to fill out maybe your preset should you want to richen up, say, the harmonic content a little bit. And we also have the poly slider in green, which relates to this little green oscillator controller up here. So you have full control of all the in this mixer of everything you want to use to build your sound. Let's just start with the 2 oscillators. I'm going to put them both on at max, and let's go take a look at the oscillators. So oscillator 1, so both oscillators, you have a choice of sawtooth or square. This looks like it could be a pulse width, or the pulse width is slightly different than this square wave, just judging by the icon. I'll be honest with you, I haven't read the manual. The beauty of this synth is that it's so accessible and simple. There's no menu diving, there's no advanced options. What you see is really all on the front panel, so it invites you to jump in and explore, and I've been playing with it for a couple of weeks now and really been loving it. But I'll admit I haven't read the manual, so I'm not sure exactly what the difference between the 2 square waves here is. Suffice to say, you have very, very basic options: sawtooth or square wave. There's no pulse width modulation, nothing like that. Just 2 very basic sound sources. Let's take a listen. I'm going to turn the mixer down for oscillator 2, or tone source 2, and we'll just listen to 1. Some fairly basic sounds. You have here a very basic, again, 3-way switch to determine the pitch, and we have 0, -1, and -2. So -2 can really be like your sub oscillator. 0, I'm assuming, while we don't have like the usual analog synth feet designation, like, 16 feet, 8 feet, 4 feet, that analog oscillator pitches are usually classified in, we really just have 0, -1, -2, and I'm guessing that 0 is as input by the note. So if you're playing C1, whatever MIDI note that is going to be the sort of guiding sort of frequency that you would expect for that key, and then -1 is an octave below that, -2 is 2 octaves below that. That's the way I understand it. So you have a sync, hard sync switch here, so you can have that in or out. Oscillator 2 is generally it's an octave higher than oscillator 1. You have 0 as the middle position on the switch, then you have +1 for an octave higher and -1 for an octave lower than as played. So you can see that the square waves slightly different with the oscillator 1 and oscillator 2, and also with the pitch. They're both on 0 right now. Oscillator 2 is a little buzzier. With the pair of them up at full volume, both set to 0. So the fun comes when we start to, you know, mix and match. If we drop the So with a fairly limited control set, you do have a decent enough variety of tones you can get there. We also have this detune, where you can really get to the detune. Actually, if you hold your cursor over, you'll see that it gives you an amount in semitones and decimal fractions of semitones. So you can take this down to like a -7, so it's going to be a fifth. A fifth below. If you go up, you can go up 7 semitones. So you can make it a fifth. So oscillator 2 will be a fifth above. So if I put this back on 0, we have oscillator 1 at the key it's played, and oscillator 2 just a fifth above it, or an octave and a fifth above it, or an octave below and a fifth above that. So maybe just say 5 semitones below. So that's fun. If we turn the sync on, now the detune behaves differently. It goes from -24 to +24, so we've got like that a full 4 octaves of range of detune. Sort of hard sync sound. If we bring that down, I should also say that with all of the controls, if I double click it, I can enter a number to get more accurate. So the detune here is at like -11.9, so it's almost an octave below and slightly detuned. With the hard sync turned on, so you get quite a nice buzzy, aggressive sound there. Very cool. So let's just put that back to a more -0.02, and put that back to stall, put that back to 0. So it's a very immediate and really fun, and it's almost a hands-on feel. You're not really you are clicking around, but you're not really sort of menu diving too much. Every click changes something, so it's a very immediate and fun synth to sort of play and explore with. And I'll be saying this a lot, that for such a small package, for such a limited control set, it is really versatile and a lot of fun to play with. So that's the oscillators. Okay, let's go with that. So then we have what they call the contour, which is really the envelope. Very basic envelope. We have the rise time and we have the fall time. This is like your attack and this is your release. And we have a sustain switch, which is either on or off or in or out as far as the switch is labeled. So the rise time is measured in milliseconds, from like 2 milliseconds up to 6,000, which is 6 seconds. And then we have the fall time, which is measured from 2 milliseconds up to a massive 22,000 milliseconds, 22 whole seconds of release. I mean, in Spinal Tap Gibson terms, that's sustain for days. Could go and make a ham and cheese while that release gate closes. Sustain for days. Don't even look at it. Don't even think about looking at it. If I may plagiarize a quote. So that's very cool. On top of that, we have this three-way switch here labeled contoured, keyed and continuous, and you can see it's color-coded in the pink, which tells you that it's going to affect the oscillators. So basically contoured is like using the contour, the envelope here, as an amplitude envelope. So like we just heard, the attack and release affect the amp. Keyed, basically the oscillators react to note on, note off. And the envelope is completely ignored. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you want to just use the pitch and the amp as is, then the envelope can be used solely for the filter envelope, and that is controlled here. We'll get to that in a moment. Continuous, basically, continuous opens the gate and just leaves it open, and it will react to pitch changes, which is kind of cool for playing sort of in a more percussive way. So you haven't really got to worry about holding notes down while you play. So, has its purpose, fairly versatile again for a simple three-way switch, affords you some good possibilities. I'm going to stick it back onto contoured. And the sustain in or out switch, if you turn sustain off, then basically the envelope will rise, it will fall, and there will be it won't really matter however long you hold your note down, it's going to ignore that. So obviously if we have a slow attack time, it will rise and then fall with the release time. But should you release the, like if it gets a note off message before the rise time, before the attack has ended that phase, it won't get to sort of full volume. So probably better for sort of for percussive sounds, but for regular synth playing, sustain really should be in. Let's turn that volume back up. Again. So that's the contour. Let's put these back down to some moderate settings. Let's take a look at the filter. The filter pretty nice filter. It has some 3-position keyboard tracking, so disengaged, 50% and 100%. I usually keep mine at 50%, just out of habit. The peak depth, which is the resonance obviously, is really squelchy. So turn your speakers down for a moment, because we're gonna bump this up. Put it to max. Yes, it gets really even in my headphones with moderate volume, that is pretty piercing. So you could really do some damage to some speakers with that. But fun and nice filter, quite a juicy filter, I feel. So you can see that this contoured cutoff is, which relates to the contour. It's the amount of the filter envelope. So there's a little pushing and pulling, and it's really just for handful of sliders, there's an awful lot of versatility, and you can get some fantastic sounds that just really invite you to play. So I really like that. Let's get this. Let's take a listen to the filter envelope in keyed mode now, so where there really is no release, no off is no off. The fall time just keeps the filter envelope open a little bit longer. It has less effect, while the filter envelope may be, you know, closing or on its release phase of that envelope. There's no sound because the amp envelope is already just closed. In continuous mode, some nice flowing, ebbing and flowing of the filter as the envelope rises and falls. So, really cool. Just again, from a handful of sliders, lots of versatility. Okay, so that's the envelope section, that's the filter section. Let's take a look at the poly section. So I'm going to bring the sliders down, and then we have no noise, no sound coming in. There's the noise. Let's bring in the poly section. We have a simple sawtooth square and we have the same three-way octave switch. Just going to keep it on 0 for now. So with the sequence playing, actually let's turn the sequence off for a second. I was able to get 8 voices, 8 notes out of that 8-note polyphony. There may be more. Again, I haven't read the manual, so I'm not sure exactly where the polyphonic limits are on this, but 8 is plenty, more than enough for almost, you know, most situations. So like I said, for a very, very basic subtractive mono synth, you get a really, well, a very basic, these are the controls for the poly synth, but when you start to blend in the other sounds, you really can create a rich harmonic arsenal of So that's really good fun to start bringing in the different aspects here in the mixer, and of course we don't need to have everything on full. We can start to mix and match, and a little bit. So again, I haven't read the manual, so I'm not sure like how the synth determines when to shed notes as far as when it's playing a monophonic line. And where it sort of, is it like lowest note priority, that type of thing? I'm not sure, so that's something I really need to look into, but so with this, I find a tiny amount of noise goes a long way, just to give it a little bit of air. So finally, we've played around with the different oscillators and the sound sources and controlled envelopes and sculpted it with the filter, and then built out our overall sound with the mixer. The last thing to look at, of course, is the modulation. This section over here. So we have three basic modulation shapes, which is triangle, square, and random. We have a switch here that determines whether the mod wheel invokes the LFO or whether you just have it sort of free running. We can have the auto contour trigger, which just makes it continuously running, kind of as a gate almost, so that you don't even have to sort of hit a switch. It works very much like the continuous does for the contour. We have an external sync switch, which when the Beatstep is playing, this now turns into a tempo divisions. Otherwise, it's, you know, it's in hertz. Put it down to like quarter dotted. There we go. No. So we have pitch mod for both of the oscillators. We have pitch mod for the poly. Both measured in percent from 0 to 100%. Tiny amount of both, it's probably not bad. Maybe just in the poly. And of course we have the filter mod. nice. What we also have here in the mod section is the keyboard glides, so you can get those glissando effects. Again, measured from 0 to 100%. I'm not sure. That's obviously very, very long and very slow. Obviously, the glissando effects don't work too well with the poly if you were to turn both the oscillators down. So let's to round it off, we have the master tuning up here in the top left, which goes from 0 to -3 to +3. I'm not sure if that's hertz or semitones or octaves, or sure I can measure it, but generally leave that as it is. We also have the polyphony master tune. So that the could be some kind of harmonic interval for the polyphony, or just for a basic detune of the polyphonic section, just to really thicken up that sound a little more. I have to say, for a free synth, absolutely monstrous sound, and again, it really invites you to just click switches, slide some sliders, really basic functionality, and explore the sounds you can get. Really cool and really fun. So one thing I should mention, let's dig into this very briefly. With something like the Beatstep, I've got these rotary encoders. Obviously I can right click and let's unlearn anything that's already on there and do MIDI learn, and let's just go with this over here. Let's do this one, MIDI learn this one here. If I MIDI learn this, it tells you what control CC number is on there. Let's do let's MIDI learn this to this one, and then down here we can do this one, this one. Don't need the noise. Do this one and this one. So very quickly, I've just set up these 8 encoders on the Beatstep, and Anyway, you get the gist. With so few on-board or on-screen controls, something like the Beatstep is a perfect companion to it, because you can pretty much map any of the controls right on the surface here, so it can be a really good, fun, hands-on performance instrument. So that's about it. We've been going for almost an hour now, so much for a quick demonstration, but I hope you got the gist of the thing. I hope it's whetted your appetite to go and get this before first week in January, I believe, is when the promotion ends. Again, I'm not sure if when the promotion ends this is going to be a paid instrument or if they're going to keep it a free instrument, but do yourselves a favor and go check out Cherry Audio. Even if you're watching this long after Christmas 2020, their synths are, even at full price, a very good value. I first went looking for a Juno vintage virtual analog synthesizer, and they have a DC-106, which is their Juno, and it's really great. I love that thing. And then they have the ARP 2600, which is absolutely monstrous. That came out not too long ago. And then for the holidays they released the MG-1 for free. If that ends up going to be a paid instrument, still recommend checking out Cherry Audio. And of course they have Voltage Modular, which is their virtual modular rack system. That's really great fun too. So get free demos to download and play with. Just makes a little white noise every 30 seconds or something, but you can get a feel for the thing, see if it works for you. So cherryaudio.com. I don't get paid from them. I'm not a employee or anything. I'm just become a fanboy. These guys are doing really great work, really affordable instruments that sound phenomenal. And like I said, this thing's for free for now. Go get it. Give yourself a little Christmas treat. I hope you enjoyed that. If you found it useful, entertaining, please, do the whole like, subscribe, thumbs up, comment, ring bells, smash buttons, all the things that the kids are doing on the internet these days. You know what I mean. So I'll be doing demonstrations of other instruments like this in the future, and I also have music that I release. So subscribe, be in the loop, and so you can see when the next thing is coming. Leave me a comment if there's something you want to know about this, or if you have any feedback or information about the maybe the original MG-1. Did you ever play the original MG-1? Does this sound authentic? Leave me a comment below, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks. Merry Christmas to everyone if you watch this before Christmas, obviously. Happy New Year if you watch this before the New Year, and happy Random Wednesday whenever you watch this after that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, push buttons, twiddle knobs, make noises.